The first article for the day is ULFA Peace Accord History of its 44-year-long insurgency peace talks. So this particular article talks about one of the factions of the insurgent group ULFA, that is the United Liberation Front of Assam, signing a tripartite peace agreement with the union government and the state government of Assam. So this particular topic becomes important from GS paper 3, role of non-state actors in creating challenges to internal security. And we'll be discussing about the northeastern insurgency and its increasing vulnerability to the insurgencies in recent days. And also we will look into the internal security aspect from this article. So moving ahead, we have a previous year question that has been asked in 2017 mains that talks about the increasing infestation of insurgency in the Northeast region. So the Northeast region and the increasing insurgency and the vulnerability of the region becomes important. So the news is one of the factions, that is the pro-top faction of the United Liberation Front of Assam, that is the ULFA, has signed a historic tripartite peace deal. What is tripartite? It is actually signed between three parties. One is the ULFA with that of the union government and the state government of Assam. So now before moving into the topic, let us understand about the emergence of Assam as a state. So here I will break this emergence or the chronology into 4 different parts. One is the early kingdoms. Next, this becomes 4th to the 13th century. Next is the medieval era, which is the 13th to the 18th century. Next will be a colonial era, 18th to 1947 till independence, and the final one is post-independence scenario, that is post-1947. So moving into the early kingdom first. Now starting with the early kingdoms. In the 4th century BC, the Assam kingdom starts with the establishment of Pushyavarman dynasty, and the kingdom was Kamarupa kingdom, followed by which in the 7th century we had the reign of Bhaskaravarman, under which the Assam kingdom reached the zenith of its glory in terms of art, architecture and cultural exchange. Later, during the 12th to the 13th century, the Kamarupa kingdom declined due to internal conflicts and external invasions. So the early kingdom, that is from the 4th to the 13th century, it was characterized by the establishment of the Pushyavarman dynasty and the Kamarupa kingdom, under which the kingdom actually was stronger, and under Bhaskaravarman, the Ahom kingdom, that is this entire region of Assam, which included the current states of Meghalaya, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, reached the zenith of its glory in terms of art, architecture as well as cultural exchange, and it deteriorated or declined in its power eventually due to internal conflicts towards the end of the 12th century. Now moving on to the medieval era. The medieval era, that is 13th to the 16th century, saw the rise of Ahom kingdom as one of the strongest kingdoms which resisted the Mughal expansion, and during the 16th to the 18th century, the Mughal Empire served as one of the major threats to the Ahom kingdom. However, the Ahom kingdom retained its independence. So this was the period when there was advancements in administration, trade and culture. Now let's move into the colonial era. This is basically from the 18th century till 1947 till India became independent. Here in 1826, Assam was annexed by the British East India Company. And this marked the beginning of the British colonial rule. Following this, 19th century, the tea plantations were established. So basically what happened is the insurgency, one of the reasons for the insurgency is this particular Assam region was rich in oil, tea as well as coal. So this invited or attracted a lot of migrants into the region, and there was competition for the resources which actually skyrocketed, thereby leading to demographic shifts as well as a lot of insurgency and insecurities among the indigenous people. Following this, in 1911, Assam was separated from Bengal and established as a chief commissionership. Now let us look into the post-independence phase. This is 1947 till current date, okay? So, in 1947, Assam actually has become a part of independent India. So, part of independent India, and in the 1950s to 70s, there were formation of new states such as Meghalaya, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram. And following this, the 21st century, there were a lot of economic developments and there were armed rebellions against the government for a sovereign Assam nation, which still continued, following which the 2023 Peace Pact was signed between one of the factions and the governments. So moving on, let us look at the story of the formation or the emergence of ULFA, how it transcended from an insurgent group and what led to the signing of Peace Pact with the government. So insurgency to the peace process. So if we look into this particular infographic, so late 19th century, I told you that Assam was a rich region in terms of resources, not only the tea plantation, but also due to its oil and coal resources, which attracted a number of migrants. So this essentially led to a lot of insecurity among the indigenous people, and there was a cultural dilution and a shift in the demographic. So following this, there was partition of India in 1947, and post this, there were a lot of exodus of refugees from the erstwhile East Pakistan, that is currently Bangladesh, and this led to more insecurity among the people. So due to this insecurity, due to the exodus of refugees and the changing demography, what happened was 1979 saw the formation of ULFA by many of the radical thinkers, and some of them include Aravind Rajkova and Anup Chetia, etc. And the objective of this particular organization was to establish a sovereign Assamese nation through armed struggle and armed rebellion against the center. And period of 1979 to 2005 was a period of bloodshed because there was a lot of kidnappings, extortions, there were persecutions as well as assassinations in demand for a sovereign Assamese nation. Also, in retaliation to this, the government took a number of measures like Operation Bajrang in 1990, and it imposed AFSPA, that is the Armed Force Special Protection Act, in order to suppress the ULFA. And also there was imposition of the President's rule in the region, and Assam was declared as the disturbed region. Following this retaliation by the government, what happened was there was lot of internal divisions and secret killing among or inside this ULFA groups, and there were a lot of external links, that is setting up of camps in Myanmar and Bangladesh, and also inclination towards Islamic groups, towards Islamic terror groups like the ISIS, etc. After that, post 2005, there were consultative groups that were formed in order to reach a peace pact with the union government and the state government of Assam. That is, ULFA had formed a consultative group for peace talks in 2005. In 2012, there was a major split where Rajkowa's pro-talks faction actually started negotiating with the government, which finally led to the 2023 historic peace agreement after a long 44 years of insurgency. Moving ahead, now let us understand the Northeast region, the strategic importance of this region, as well as the increasing vulnerability of this region to increasing insurgency. So now let us look into the major causes of insurgency in Northeast India. The first one is the colonial neglect. That is, if we look at the pre-British and the British policies and any kind of law, it isolated the Northeast region from the mainland India. So if you see, pre-British and the British policies always fostered isolation and alienation to the northeastern part of India, excluding them from the mainland India. The second one is the constitutional ambiguities. That is, the region, that is the Assam region, witnessing many of the autonomous districts and the other regions getting their autonomy as well as, freedom and a free hand from the government. What did they do? It actually led to conflicting tribal claims for an autonomous region. Following this, we have a lot of socio-economic factors. The first is the multi-ethnic complexity. That is, this particular region is characterized by diverse ethnic composition with over 200 tribal groups, which leads to rivalries of who is superior to the other. The second one is the economic disparity. That is, there are a lot of lack of opportunities and the policies have been ineffective that create frustration among the people. The third one is underdevelopment. There have been a lot of infrastructural delays that has breeded resentment among the people of this region. Moving on, we have other reasons like the geographical alienation that I actually told you that they were already not included and not considered as a part of mainland India. There were distinct differences that contributed to a sense of separateness of the Northeast region. And the last one is the territorial disputes. You have a lot of interstate and international border disputes like between Assam and Nagaland and Meghalaya. This is further complicating the situation. Moving ahead, let's look at few of the government efforts for the peace in the Northeast region. The first one is the Karbi-Anglong Agreement of 2021. So this is nothing but a tripartite agreement among insurgent groups of Assam, the central and the state government. Then we have the Bodo Accord. It was signed between the central government and the Assam government as well as the Bodo groups. Bodo is nothing but a tribe who actually live there. Next is the Bru-Riang Agreement of 2020. This was signed between four parties, that was the central government, the government of Mizoram, Tripura and the leaders of the Bru organization. Following this, we have the NLFT Tripura Agreement, which actually involved a surrender of a number of insurgents with weapons from the NLFT, which was a group banned by the government under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, that is the UAPA. Moving on to the other initiatives for the development and integration of the Northeast region, let's look into it. The first one is the establishment of the Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region, which aims at the development of initiatives of the Northeastern region. Next one, the government had come up with the concept of ILP, that is the Inner Line Permit, which restricts the Indian citizens from settling in certain parts of the Northeast region. The ILP is nothing but the document for Indian citizens to visit or reside in the select states of the Northeastern region, and currently the states with ILP include Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Mizoram. Next one is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, that is the AFSPA of 1958. This is used to manage the insurgency in several northeastern states. Moving on to the provisions of Article 244 and 6th Schedule of the Constitution, it enables the establishments of Autonomous District Council with the legislative, judicial and administrative autonomy in different states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. The next one is Act East policy. India's Act East policy actually creates a lot of transformative impact on the northeastern region, which will boost the economic cooperation, cultural ties and strategic relations with Asia Pacific. Moving on, the final one is the PM Divine Scheme, that is the Prime Minister's development initiative for the northeastern region, which supports infrastructural development, social development and the livelihood projects. Moving ahead, now let us look at the improved security situation in the region. So compared to 2014, there has been a 76% reduction in the insurgency incidents and 90% reduction in the security forces casualties and also civilian deaths in 2022. Also, due to a significant improvement in security, what has happened is AFSPA has been removed from certain parts of Assam, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. Also, states of Tripura and Meghalaya had AFSPA removed completely in 2015 and 2018 respectively. So now let us look at the way forward in order to limit the insurgency and what are the provisions for the government that can be taken. So the insurgency in northeastern India demands a multifaceted approach, and this requires political settlements with different tribal groups, balancing regional autonomy with national unity, fostering economic development, preserving the cultural identity, enhancing security measures. Also, effective communication, inclusion of stakeholders. So, if we actually follow these principles of political settlements with different groups, balancing the regional autonomy alongside the national unity, fostering economic development like India's Act East policy as we saw, and preserving the cultural identity of different ethnic groups there, enhancing the security measures and effective communication with the involved stakeholders will definitely result in the holistic development of the region and also bring down the insurgency incidences in the future.